We are going to do a collective reading for the week of July 28th to August 4th. Let's see what the energy is giving for this particular week for you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. We have two cards here. We have the Six of Cups in the reverse, and we have the Devil upright. It's interesting. It kind of feels like we're coming across some weird issues regarding past life connections. It also feels like some sense of unhealthy attachment that we may have to somebody. This week in particular, it feels like it's coming to its culmination for some reason. We are in the midst of retrograde time, Mercury retrograde specifically, and so things seem to be a bit interesting in general, even at the bottom of the deck with the Lovers card here. For a lot of you, you're dealing with the fallout of a love situation. It could also indicate problems coming up in your present romantic dynamic, even if there aren't necessarily problems right now. There's a big theme regarding the issue of attachment and sometimes being too attached and what that means in the context of being in relationships. If you're not currently in a relationship, what it does kind of feel like is that somebody may come in and you may have this immediate soul recognition with them. You may have this immediate sense of, oh, I feel like I've known this person for lifetimes. I feel like I've been there. I feel like I've met them. And sometimes all that glitters is not gold. And what I mean by that is, sometimes when we have this situation where we have a romantic connection and we feel as though that, I'm just so intensely drawn to this person. I feel like I've known them forever. I feel anxious. I feel so just crazy over this connection. Sometimes that's our body's way of saying, hey, you're going to repeat a pattern with somebody. You're going to repeat a pattern, and this is your opportunity to walk away from that situation, which is so much easier said than done. And a lot of the times what we're being called to do is to work out some karma with this situation, especially when it comes to that devil. I mean, the same two people in the Lovers card are the people in the Devil card. I mean, this time around, though, they're chained to the devil, right? It always points to some sense of unhealthy attachment to something, right? I feel as though if you've already been dealing with somebody of this nature, there's some sense of culmination. You may feel as though that you've been breadcrumbed, or there's this sense of you're putting out a little bit more than what you're getting back. So it can come across as you texting somebody and them taking forever to respond to you. It could just be the lack of reciprocity in general, right? You feel as though that the energy isn't really there. At the very least, it's not meeting a minimum standard that should be met when it comes to relationships, right? And so it's interesting. We have the Sun in the reverse and then the Knight of Swords. I kind of feel like there's going to be some sort of quick motion towards trying to make this right. Whether this is on this person's end or your end, there's like this attempt at trying to bridge the gap, but it's leaving us unsatisfied. Like, we're not happy with how things have panned out, with how things are going. There's something kind of off. It feels quite off kilter in terms of how this is coming up. Again, Mercury retrograde, if you're watching, I assume you know that oftentimes this period sort of starts as a reset. It's kind of this energy of going over what it is that we've been doing and stripping away what's not working. And it kind of feels like there could be some major conflict coming up regarding you and this person. The Seven of Cups in the reverse, and then the Five of Swords. It very well could be that you haven't been given the sense of inner peace. Like, you're feeling very anxious, you're feeling very held back, and it's like, I just don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to take off. So what it does feel like, though, is that when this happens, this person may try to bridge the gap with you. Like, this person may try to come forward and make things right, but it's giving false promises. And I think this person has already had a habit of giving you some sense of false promises. I think this is also pointing to this sense of like a pattern repeating. So it also doesn't feel like this situation in itself is new to you. Whether this is a pattern that's been repeating with this person specifically, or a pattern that's repeating just in general, like same person, different bodysuit. I'm sure everyone knows of this concept, but we have a bad habit of attracting the same type of situation over and over and over again until we finally learn the lesson. And I'm just afraid that this is where a lesson is coming to like its pinnacle, where you're really being forced to confront yourself and your decisions thus far, which isn't to say it's your fault as to why you've attracted these people, these types of people, right? But it is your responsibility to take notice of the pattern and pivot when you see something is going to continue in terms of the pattern, right? How is this going to progress forward, Spirit? How is this going to progress forward? This person may find themselves as closed off heart space. The Four of Pentacles is very reserved, sometimes for good reason, sometimes out of fear. Regardless of what it is, it's closed off heart space. This person has a pentacle over their chest. They're not willing to budge in some ways. And for a lot of the times, it's like, I want to focus now on my stability as opposed to anything else. My stability right now is of the utmost importance, right? Regardless, I think what you're finding is as there's a fallout of some sort of connection here, you are now finding yourself more guarded. You're feeling as though, I'm just going to be alone. I'm just going to be single, or I'm just going to hold out until this person decides to change. We've all been there. We've all been there, holding out hope that there's going to be some sense of change. Will this person change, Spirit? King of Pentacles isn't necessarily a bad energy. My concern, it's more regarding internal stability. Ugh, ugh. I think this person's going to be more self-serving. And I think they already have been self-serving. I think they already have been more focused on themselves, more focused on their needs, their fears, their anxieties, their desires, their wishes, their goals. I hate to say this, but it kind of feels like in some way you've been serving as a stepping stone for somebody. Like there's been this sort of stepping stone-esque energy here where somebody hasn't reciprocated that energy, but you've been providing your time, your energy. You've been trying to help this person. You've been trying to sort of point them to some sort of new beginning and hoping that there's some sort of fresh start. But I don't think the intentions have been good. Death at the bottom. Inevitable endings. Something coming to an ending. Look, cycles of life and death are ubiquitous, right? If there's an ending, there's naturally going to be a rebirth after that. But I think this Mercury retrograde period specifically is actually showing you what you should let go of. I think it's actively showing you what you should be letting go of right now. So it's interesting. Maybe only a few aspects of this reading are resonating for you. If that's the case, take it. Because this could not just have to resonate, or this doesn't just have to resonate for a particular person or partner. This could be a toxic job situation. This could be a toxic family situation. This could be a toxic friendship that you're being told to let go of. But the underlying message in itself is that you've been putting your time and energy towards something that isn't being reciprocated, and it's about to come to the surface. The wool has been pulled over your eye for a bit too long, and so now what you're being told to do is to take into account what's happening around you and pivot and act accordingly. If this is a romantic situation, I would no longer continue holding out hope for the situation. Look, people are not above changing. People can change. People can shift. Toxic relationships can become healthy, but it is a two-person job. It is a two-person job. It takes two to tango, and I just don't see a level of accountability being put into play here. And so that's my concern. For some of you, there's a third party involved here, and it's made you feeling it's made you feel insecure. This could also be other influences, outside influences, people talking about you, saying, oh, why are you dealing with this person? Why are you friends with them? Why do you put up with them? Painting you sort of in this narrative. And I think even while whoever this is has sat with this narrative, whoever this is has taken this narrative in, they've sat with it, they've let it almost like grow internally. They didn't leave right out the gate. But I think their beliefs are going to start showing in their actions. I think you're going to find that they're going to be more cold, cut off, or even in a weird way, it kind of feels like purposeful triggering. Like they're trying to trigger you on purpose. And so it's so odd how it's coming up, but it is a warning of, hey, whatever this fallout is, whatever's coming to light right now, it may be stemming from the influences of others, but that doesn't mean that this person, the catalyst, is innocent here. Because it feels like there's been some feeding into it, right? There's been some sort of feeding into it, some sort of outside interference. What should the collective do about this? Ooh, this kind of came up on the side. King of Wands. See this person for who they are. I don't think people are bad or good. I think we all fall somewhere in between. Or not even. Things aren't bad or good, they just are, right? But that doesn't mean that this person necessarily deserves your grace or forgiveness, right? Forgive them for yourself. Don't forgive them as a means of them feeling better about a circumstance that they brought you into, right? It sucks. There's hurt, there's pain, there's off energy here. The Ten of Swords is always about letting the swords fall out of your back. It's backstabbed energy. It's in the reverse, so it's a period of healing. Tens are also culminations, right? They're reaching the end of some sort of period, but it is really, really important to make sure that you are continuing down the process of healing. I always believe that the pendulum has to swing from one way to the other, right? So if there is a pendulum swing that's completely negative, you're facing quote unquote tower moments, you're facing loss where you didn't expect to face loss, ask yourself what's trying to be shown to you in that moment. What's trying to be shown to you, and then keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. Because I think that there's a lot of really good stuff happening to you after this. I just think end of summer into the fall is kind of a rebuilding phase, right? Like you've gone through the lessons, you're going through the lessons, you're taking them in stride, and the universe rewards that. The universe rewards that. I wish you the best of luck in this. Leave a comment. Let me know how this resonated for you. Even if it was just a part of it resonating for you. And yeah, blessings.